Hello, my name is John Tarver, and I'm a student at Southeastern Louisiana University. And today I'm going to talk about memorization within schools and other more efficient methods of memorization that can and should be used, and also talk a bit about a man named Joshua Foer, who, just like me and you, is a regular guy with an average memory who benefited and even won a national memory championship for these techniques. Now, memorization has been a crucial component in the way schools have been ran all over the world throughout history. Whether or not that memorization is the most beneficial technique that the education can teach students, that is up for debate though. Now, researching memory in the education field, the mind palace, and other memorization techniques can be very helpful to improve education by opening new doorways to expand the minds of students. Now, in Joshua Foer's book, Moonwalking with Einstein, Joshua Foer gives many examples of memory enhancing skills. For instance, the memory palace, which is a process in which the individual picks a place that they are familiar with and then fills it with bits and pieces of information that can later be recalled correctly during a time of need. Now, if this is done correctly, information of varying importance will stick with the individual for much longer than the human mind is typically capable of when using standard memorization tactics. Now, the education system's tactics for teaching memorization skills has a negative impact on the students to me and should be altered in a way that increases the longevity and capacity of what a student can remember. One of Joshua Foer's many great examples was the mind palace, like I said. The mind palace is a place in the brain that can be arranged so that the material needed to be remembered is in a place that is familiar and comfortable for the person. In Moonwalking with Einstein by Joshua Foer, he states that it can be routes through a town or even station stops along a railway, maybe even zodiac signs or even mythical creatures. By writing this, he's emphasizing that the place in which a person deems their mind palace does not have to be a palace or even a monument, rather a place that the individual feels comfortable with while being able to recall details of the chosen place. One of the most important aspects of the mind palace is that it is a place in which the person has seen many times and is able to visualize specific areas of the preferred location. The mind palace can be very helpful to students who need to remember several vocabulary words and then be able to place them around their familiar area. Students can have different mind palaces in their memory for different subjects, making studying and memorizing less stressful and less a burden on the student's shoulders. In one of my articles that I found, Inquiring Mind in Education, it states that educational inquiry in the past has been difficult because of lack of commonly accepted methods of classification, especially of ends or aims quantitative units of measurement, which have been needed, and there have been marked an absence of technique and command of scientific procedures such as common and other fields of inquiry. The mind palace would have been beneficial because in the past it was difficult to find an accepted method of memorization that people could use effectively to remember many things. Now, as a normal everyday person, Ford took on the challenge of competing in the USA Memory Championship, which in the article I found called Memory by Stephen Scragg, it is the process of narrating, making sense of experience, and then of storage and recovery at both individual and collective levels. What this is trying to show is that the mind can store so many ideas, pictures, smells, and experiences throughout its lifetime and recall those memories at any given time. This relates to what Ford competed in the USA Championship because he had to store so much material in his mind while being able to recall those most minute of details. The Memory Championship can serve as an inspiration to students when it is time for them to take an exam or even write an essay, like how Ford prepared for the championship but less effectively. To improve, one must practice the right methods for a goal. In his book, he quotes, "Mental athletes always halt their training a week before contest in order to do a spring cleaning of their memory palace. This can be compared to how students prep for their exams and tests, rather than just cramming at the last minute for an exam. Students should not give up themselves the time to clear their mind and relax. Ford cleared his mind before upcoming championship, just like students should before an important test." Now, to kind of sum things up, like we talked about before, he talked about many different memory techniques that he used. One being the mind palace. And to invoke these techniques, all you have to do is be familiar with the place, maybe like your home, or your school. And by visualizing this place, just make the bits and pieces of information stick to certain areas that you're most comfortable and familiar with. And by doing this, it allows you to memorize and even make the information stick with you. Aside from that, though, also, the techniques in schools that have been implemented for memorization is below subpar, and these new techniques would help improve their everyday life. Thank you. That's it for my speech.